what is this here? And how is this going to help me fix a mistake in my knitting? Well, I'm going to show you this technique along with another one in this video about frogging your work and why it's called frogging. If you've spotted a mistake in your work and you're already many rows past the error, taking back your work is probably not an option unless you have endless patience, which I do not. So it's going to be much more effective to frog your work quickly back to that point. And I'm going to show you a few ways to do it. What is frogging? It sounds silly because it is, and I'll tell you why when we get started. So the first way to go about fixing your work is to just take your needle out and start pulling the yarn through the stitches. So you just gently tug through each stitch like this. And if you have to get to this point here, somewhere further down, you can be a little less gentle. But if it's just one row, I like to take my time because we have to put these stitches back onto our needle and we don't want them dropping down too far. So when you get to this last stitch, you want to be a little extra careful. You do pull this through, but then you have this yarn making a stitch that, do you see how it's already kind of dropped into this stitch? And this is the stitch in the next row. So just pull that yarn out a little bit. So since my working yarn is on this side, I'm going to start over here putting stitches back on. And you want to go through the back. So you don't want to stick your needle in through this front. You want to go in through the back, and it's actually okay if you do go in through the front. It's just a twisted stitch, and you can fix that. And if they do drop down into the next stitch, you can use your fingers to pull them up and onto the needle. Don't be shy about using whatever tools you need. You could even grab a crochet hook if you wanted. It's up to you. And why is it called frogging? Well, say that out loud. So we're just gently putting them back onto the needle. You can use a metal needle if that helps. You can use a smaller size needle, which I kind of wish I had done. But here we are. Okay, so we're coming up on to the very last stitch. And you can yank that out a little further. And if you do go too far and you pull out the yarn from this final stitch, you'll be able to tell, because once you put it on, your yarn will be in between these last two. So what you would do is you would just scoop your working yarn. So put your needle through and scoop your working yarn through that stitch. And there we go. All of our stitches are back on and you're ready to continue your project. Now, I have another way that I want to show you that I like best. So the second way that I like to rip out stitches, especially when I've made a mistake further down and need to rip out a ton of rows, which I have had to do plenty of times. This is a safer method if you're feeling like the other one was a little more out of control for you. And what you do is you need to weave in your needle as a stopper, and then you can rip out with abandon. So what you do is you see the little V shape that this makes. What you're going to do is go in through each one, alternating between the legs, because each V is a stitch. So you want to grab one leg from each stitch, and you start over here. And this side is a little bit messy. It's messier than the middle, so you have to find one of the first legs, which you might have to unravel your knitting a little bit more, but you see right here, we can see one of those legs. And once you get that first one, it's gonna be a little easier. So you go through, we'll pick up that next stitch there. And you just continue on. And it's easy to get a little confused as to what is straight across. But it's okay if you drop one, that's all right. You can just pick up the stitch. If there's one above, you'll be okay. If you go into the wrong leg, it's actually no big deal. The stitch will be twisted, but you can fix that later. Okay, so you just keep going across all the way. I'm going to get a little bit closer. I can show you the legs that we're going through here. If you wanted to use a metal needle, those can sometimes help. You know, I like the bamboo because it has a little more grip to it, but then it's actually not as helpful in situations like these. Okay, so we're nearing the end, and you have this last one. It's kind of an ugly stitch. But you've got all your stitches on your needle. And then what you do is you pull out this top needle, and then we can rip all the way back. And I'm just going to speed this up, rip this out real quick. There. And now you can continue on your work, and you can cry about all the work you lost, and then be happy that you did it when the project is finished and your project is perfect.